Hello, everyone. This is Caroline Wolf with E-Rate Central. On our call, we have Wynn Hemsworth, who's in New York, Jenny Harwood, who's in Texas, and we're going to just talk a little bit today about the new Category 2 rules that were released on December 3rd. I've actually uploaded the presentation that we are presenting today, as well as a handout with the background on Category 2 budgets for you. During the call today, if you have any questions, please enter them in the questions box under your little dashboard that you have on the call. We'll go ahead and get started. So the Category 2 order, just to give a little bit of a background, was because we had to have this order before the start of the 2020 funding year, because the FCC, when they modernized the E-Rate program, they said, well, we're going to establish these Category 2 budgets. They're going to be 5-year rolling budgets, but we're only doing this as a pilot program at first, and we just want to see how it works. And once we get reports and see how it works, we'll make some decisions about whether or not we're going to continue moving forward with that. And they said that an order had to come out before the 2020 funding year started, and that kind of caused a bunch of different things, because we waited for the Category 2 order, and that had to come out before the eligible services list was final. And that had to come out before the window date. So it seems like things are moving along right now, and we're hopefully going to see some window dates soon. So instead of continuing the C2 budget exactly the way that they planned it in the beginning, they've decided that they're going to extend the 5-year budget for another year. So the 2020 is, instead of a 5-year budget, it's going to be the 6th year of the Category 2 budgets. It's going to be a continuation of what was started beginning in 2015. It's a transition year. And in 2021, that's when they're going to start the new rules of the 5-year budget. It's going to be a static 5-year budget. It's going to, so everybody is going to get a new budget every 5 years. The first cycle of the new rules will begin 2021, and it'll go 2021 to 2025, and so on. So there were some other decisions too. So the Category 2 rule budget trial for 2015 to 2019 continues. They're going to the budget's still going to be a school by school or a library by library basis for 2020. And they're going to give us a little bit more money this year to go with that 1 year that they're tacking on. So they've increased for inflation and added 20%. So you may have noticed, I don't know if anybody saw, but the Wireline Competition Bureau just today, released the multipliers that are going to be used to determine the 2020 budgets. And they're effective as soon as the C2 order is published in the Federal Register, and that's supposed to happen tomorrow. So it sounds like they really don't have anything keeping us from getting some window dates. So just let's look at the different multipliers that we have. Schools will have a $195.63 per student budget for 2020. Rural libraries will have a $3 per square foot. Urban libraries, that's those libraries who have an IMLS code of 11, 12, or 21. They're going to have a $6.52 per square foot budget. And the floor, the minimum amount that you can get, is $11,998.43 per entity. So the way that you calculate your budget is you take either your enrollment per school and your square footage, you multiply it times the multiplier for that entity. Then you subtract anything you've already spent in your beginning of your 5-year budget, and that is what you're going to have for that entity for the funding year 2020. Some of you, I know that a lot of you are participating in the Libraries Connecting Texas program, and some of you have not spent any of your Category 2 budget funds, and so that means that you have a good deal of money probably that you can spend on any equipment that you might need for the 2020 funding year. And the best thing about it is it's going to expire at the end of 2020, and in 2021 you get a brand new budget. So that is going to be good news to a lot of people who need new equipment. And as I said, 2021, all budgets reset, and that you'll continue to have 5-year budget reset. So the first new budget cycle will be 2021, and it will go till 2025, and then it will refresh in 2026 and continue to go, and so on and so on. Because this is now permanent, we don't have to worry about any more orders that are going to tell us, whether it's going to continue or not. This is a permanent thing that the FCC has instituted, so every 6 years they're going to adjust the inflation, the amount of the multiplier for inflation, and they're going to announce that multiplier before the funding year starts, very much the way they did that this year. So also the budgets beginning in 2021 will be administered on a district-wide or system-wide basis. I know some of you are only one entity, but many of you are systems. So in the case of a school district or a library system, beginning in 2021, you don't have to multiply by individual entity anymore. You would basically just take the amount for the entire system or the entire district and multiply it times the multiplier. So there's some examples in the slides. So for instance, like total students or square feet times 167, which is going to be the multiplier. They've already given us that for 2021. 167 or $4.50, and the floor is going to be $25,000. If you have fewer than 10 entities, so if you're a system or a district and you have 5 entities, you have a choice of whether or not you want to multiply it by entity, or if you want to continue on the system-wide basis. And they didn't make NIFs eligible for Category 2, so it's still, if you have a non-instructional facility or an administration building, that is still not eligible for Category 2 funds. So if you haven't used all of your C2 budget in the first 5 years, you have a unique opportunity. Because you have more budget funds in 2020, and then you get a reset in 2021. So we've got some examples here. So if you are a school district with 1,000 students, you get $195.63 per student for your budget, and that's roughly $195,630. And then next year in 2021, you get another $167,000. This is a wonderful opportunity. So if you haven't started taking advantage of your budget, or if you still have some budget funds left, we encourage you to try and take advantage of it this year. This is an example of a library system that has 10 libraries. So this would be an urban library system, and it would be, that means that it would be in one of those locale codes that I mentioned earlier. So to give you an example, it lists the libraries, the square footage, and the square foot. So it would show you the difference between whether or not you decided to choose by the entity or choose by the system. So in the Category 2 order, it wasn't just, they didn't just discuss the C2 budgets. They also decided to make basic maintenance of internal connections, managed internal broadband services, and caching servers permanently eligible in the eligible services list. So for those of you who have been using those services, those are going to continue to be eligible. And you don't, beginning in 2021, with the new all district or all system budget calculation, you no longer have to report transfers from one of your libraries or schools in your system to another. So if you have a school that needs that you need to transfer some equipment, it's okay, even if you paid for it with E-rate funds beginning in 2021. You still have to retain your documentation for 10 years, but at least you can transfer things if you need to. A lot of people were really hoping that the FCC would begin allowing cybersecurity in the new order, and they declined to do that. They said that it wasn't going to be eligible, but two of the commissioners said that they thought that it was a really good conversation to continue. And so we encourage you to pay attention to that. And if the FCC asks for comments or wants to get feedback, it's a good opportunity for people to give reasons why they should include cybersecurity in eligible services that are eligible for E-rate discounts. Another thing that they said in the order was that the window would, well, actually, it was when they approved the eligible services list. They said that the window was approved to be open within 45 days. So that calculates to be on or before January 23rd. So at least we have that as a possible date. It shouldn't be after January 23rd. I think USAC has some changes to make in their systems to make us to make all of these rules work. So we're just waiting for those dates to come to be released. So before I move on, I just want to know if there are any questions about the Category 2 budgets, or maybe you want to know what exactly is a good thing, what would be the best thing for you. So does anybody have any questions? I don't see any questions in the box. So I'm encouraging you to put them in there, because this is all about answering your questions about Category 2 services. What items fall into Category 2? So Category 2 services so Category 1 services are internet access and connectivity to get to the internet. Category 2 services are the equipment and connections that are inside your building. And examples of things that are Category 2 services are wireless access points, wireless controllers, switches, routers, things that are going to provide connectivity. So if there's a device that is connected to the internet that allows you to get to the internet, it's probably eligible for Category 2 services. So let's see. So if you had a 3-year contract with your provider and it's the final year of the contract coming up July 2020, if that's for Category 1 services, this doesn't affect you if it's Category 1 services. If it's Category 2 basic maintenance, it actually doesn't affect you any way other than you're going to continue to be able to apply for discounts on those services. Diane, no, computers are not included in Category 2 eligible services. No, Becca, the 2020 funding is available for any of the eligible libraries to apply for internet access or apply for discounts. So if you haven't used your funds yet, you've got the whole thing to use now. So you have the 5-year stuff that was originally started, plus you've got 20% more for this year. And then you get it all a brand new budget in 2021. So no, you don't have to already be participating in the pilot to be able to take advantage of this. Kim, servers, the only type of servers that are eligible are caching servers. It used to be that other types of servers were eligible, but not anymore. The only type of server that's eligible now is a caching server. I know computers have never been eligible, Diane, and I know that a lot of people wish that they were, but they're not. These are some good questions. Does anybody else have any questions? Any school questions? I see a lot of libraries. So Amber, you're eligible for Category 1 and Category 2. If you're eligible to apply for Category 1, you're also eligible to apply for Category 2 services. So if you need any equipment, you should talk to your IT people. If you're participating in Libraries Connecting Texas, then you want to reach out to us. And if you have any specific questions on what you should apply for or anything like that, we're happy to help you with that. Yes, there is a list of items that qualify for discounts, and it's on the eligible services list, and that can be found on USAC's webpage. We can send it out. Actually, we can send out a link to the participants if you'd like, if that's something that would be beneficial to you. Any other questions before I move on? Just have a few more slides left. Okay, so I'll keep going, but if you think of any other questions, keep on asking. These are some good questions. So some of the other things that you should think about, and I know that those of you who are in smaller entities, you may not be as worried about this as some of the bigger entities, but there are 2 companies, Huawei and ZTE, who make equipment. A lot of the equipment that's made is used for modems or cameras, but they have been sort of banned from the E-rate program. So you aren't able to use equipment, you're not able to get discounts on equipment that's made by those 2 particular companies. So it's not going to affect most of you, but it is something that you should maybe put if you're going to be getting something in Category 2 services. You might put a statement on your Form 470 that says something like, the service provider, if they present a proposal to you, then they're certifying that they are not going to provide equipment made by those two vendors. And so there was a notice of proposed rulemaking that asked whether or not, that if somebody already had one of those vendors, that they should remove it, but it really doesn't affect E-rate applicants. But we just want you to know that those two vendors are supposed to not be providing services for E-rate. Something else is that there are now some international tariffs that have been placed on equipment that can be provided by service providers and that are discounted for E-rate, and so you should be prepared for that. Sometimes a service provider isn't going to know if there is going to be a tariff on the piece of equipment. And so it is a conversation that you should have with your vendor if you're going to be getting C2 services. Lowest corresponding price is an issue because service providers are supposed to provide the lowest price that is available to similarly situated applicants, and it looks like USAC has been paying attention to vendors who are not providing the lowest corresponding price. It's a good idea to make sure that you are asking vendors to provide the lowest corresponding price in their proposals, and protect yourself against any situation where a service provider doesn't provide the lowest corresponding price, but then USAC might not pay the bill in full if they decide that it's that the service provider didn't provide the lowest corresponding price. We're starting to see some of that with some Category 2 services that have already been requested. So the next question that I see is, can you use Category 2 services to purchase and provide wiring for security purposes other than the two you just listed? So you can provide wiring for internet access, but if it's just being used for security systems, that's not really an E-rate eligible purpose. It needs to be for your internet access or connectivity to end your user devices. For those of you who file bearer forms to get your discounts, you may have received emails from USAC regarding your Form 498 and the business type. It's important that you go into your Form 498 and select the business type. If you haven't done so, they're going to continue to send you emails and may give you a phone call to remind you if you don't do that. So if you haven't done that, make sure you do it. After the window closed, we're going to start seeing USAC implement dual factor authentication. That means that when you log into EPC, you may have to not only provide a password, but they may have to send you a text message to your cell phone with a code or some other way of dual factor authentication. So be prepared for that. And also just make sure that you're paying attention to the communications that USAC sends you in the news briefs. So we've sort of run out of slides here. I want to let you know that we have links to USAC, our website, the Libraries Connecting Texas. We have the email address for that. And we also have some contact information for people who might be resources to you. Those are all in our slides. I'm also just asking if you have any more questions we're happy to answer any questions regarding the 2020 and 2021 moving forward Category 2 budgets. So Amber, yes, so you would file for Category 2 services in a separate application from the Category 1, but you can file both applications during the same filing window. So the timing is the same. You just need to file 2 applications instead of 1 if you're planning on applying for Category 2 services. So the question was, do you file for Category 2 at the same time you file for Category 1? So yes, you would, the timing is very similar. So if you haven't filed a Form 470 yet for any services, it's really important to get on the ball and file your Form 470 for 2020. That's for Category 1 or Category 2 services. So again, if you need any additional information, please give us a call or send us an email. Jenny Harwood is available. Her email address is gharwood@eratecentral.com. If you're a school and you're attending this webinar, Libraries Connecting Texas, of course, you have my information and you have the LCT contact information. Henry Stokes is the State E-Rate Coordinator for Public Libraries in Texas, and Richard Legault is the State E-Rate Coordinator for Schools in Texas. Their contact information is in here too. So please feel free to reach out to any of us if you have other questions after this webinar. So here's another question. So even though I'm currently in a 3-year contract through June 2021, does that mean we get more money going towards our monthly bill? For example, if the bill is $1,000 and E-Rate pays $800. So Norma, that is for your Category 1 services. So no, you don't get any extra money. You only can get discounts on what you're actually paying, and that's Category 1. So it's not, Category 1 services are not subject to a particular budget amount. You can request as much as you need as that you have procured through the E-Rate process. Are there any more questions? If there are no other questions, we'll go ahead and say this is the end of the webinar. I'll stay on for a few more minutes just in case there are any other questions that people want to ask. Thank you so much for attending. We appreciate it. And again, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to any of the contacts at the end of the slide presentation. Thank you.